Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. So today we are going to make a tiny office chair. And I have a link in my info box below for the pattern so that you can find how to do it there. And I am just gonna jump into it, so let's turn around and go to the table.
So let's get started with the chair. First of all, we need a piece of the 2.5 centimeters, and we are starting from the bottom and up on the chair. So this will be the middle part between the legs and the chair itself. So that was 2.5 centimeters. I made a print sheet with the measurements and the pieces that we need for this piece for the chair, and you can find that in the info box below. So let me just quickly sand the ends right away. So this one is 6 millimeters in diameters. It could be smaller if you want to, but just don't go too small because that would look kind of weird. Of print paper right here, and I am making a strip that is 1 centimeter tall, and then I'm just gonna go from one end of the paper to the other end on the short side of the paper, and then of course I am going to cut out the little strip here. I glue the paper strip around the bottom part of the dowel. So first I glue the end of the paper, and then I roll it up, and I am going to glue it a little here and there to make sure everything will stay in place. And then of course I am going to glue the end piece really tight so everything will just stay where it needs to go. I am going to place a tiny bit of glue here on top of the paper to make sure that it is staying together, and the bottom part we are going to glue down onto the end or the foot of the chair. Now we need 3 parts of this shape here. I have my ruler that has the correct size, and I am just drawing 3 of these onto one of these bigger popsicle sticks, yeah. And then I am using my X-Acto knife and cutting them out, but you can use the template that you find in the info box below, and then draw that on your popsicle stick and cut it out with your X-Acto knife. I give the part a tiny bit of sanding to make sure all the edges are nice and soft to the touch, and it is going to look a little better also if you make sure you sand all the pieces. I am again using my tacky glue, and this time I am gluing this middle stick here onto one of these shapes, making sure it is around in the middle. And then I am going to glue one more on top of the stick, and I'm trying to line the shape here so that they are sitting right. The last one we are going to need for the end pieces of the chairs, or the legs of the chair if you want to call them that. You need 5 pieces of these 2.5 centimeters long sticks. You saw the measurements for the stick in the video. I am making a mark on the around 3 millimeters because that is going to go inside the middle of the chair, the bottom of the chair. Well, you will see when you get them, but you need 5 of these pieces. I'm sanding all 5 of the legs, and in the end where I don't have the 3 millimeter mark, I am kind of rounding them off. So the 3 millimeter marks are going over this last piece of that shape we made earlier, and we are going to kind of glue them on there, one to each of the sides, and again I'm using my tacky glue for that. So I'm just taking my time and gluing them down one after another and trying to make them straight out from this little shape that I still don't know the name of. Anyway, I am gluing them all down, making sure they are straight. When I'm done with that, I am going to put glue on top of all these small pieces here, and then we are placing this thing here with the paper side down, and again I'm trying to match up the shape of this five-sided shape here. Let that all dry before you continue. I am going to take a tiny toothpick here, and I am cutting 1.5 centimeter of it without the point. And in one end I am kind of rounding it with my sandpaper, and the other end I'm just flattening it out so that you don't have any gibbers sticking out everywhere. And the flat end I am going to glue to the stick here by the top of it. That is that little thing where you can adjust the height on your chair. And let that dry before you continue. I designed these small wheels for the chair from the wheels on my own chair, and I 3D printed these on my Anycubic Photon Mono SE 3D resin printer. If you don't have a resin printer, you can always use some kind of nice rounded bead and place as the chair wheel. That is also working perfectly. And now I am just using my super glue and gluing these on. If you are using these wheels that you will find in a link in the info box below, then you can look at them and see they have kind of that flat surface on top where you can glue them on, and that can be turned inside or outside actually. So look at how you turn the wheel before you glue it on. And I'm just going to glue it on with my super glue gel. As the glue is drying, I am taking my wooden spoon that we are going to need for the seat. If you don't have a wooden spoon, you can use the pattern that you find in the link below for the seat as well. It is around 4 centimeters from the back end of the seat to the front of the seat. I am using my X-Acto knife to cut the lines that I draw on my spoon. If I am trying to cut it with something else, it will splinter and break, so you need to do it very carefully and slowly, and then you will get a nice result. And then I'm just going ahead and sanding that a tiny bit. Here are the legs of my chair and the seat, and I'm going to glue the seat until the top part here. It won't lay totally flat on the seat, but that is perfectly okay, no worries. Just placing that so that it is like a third to the back. You can see it's not in the middle here, it's kind of in the middle of the short side, but on the length, the long side, it is 1/3 down. So now the bottom part of our chair is all done, and before we continue I am going to paint it, and I am starting with my black Vallejo model paint. So I'm just gonna paint everything black with this. When the black paint is all dry, I am using my silver true metal. It is kind of a rub and buff metal paint, and I'm using this little piece here to kind of place a little of the silvery paint where I want it without getting too much on there. You can use your fingers as well, or a brush as well. But I did it like this one. And when you have it all over, you can use your fingers rubbing the paint to make it really shiny and looking good. I do this all over the chair, just a little here and there, kind of a dry brush actually over the chair. So now for the fabric, I have this 3D foam that you actually use for making cards, but it's perfect for making the seat here. So I have my seat template that fits perfect to the seat, and I'm going to cut that shape out of this 3D double-sided foam tape, and I'm using that for my for the foam inside of my cushion on the seat. So I'm just going to cut it into the shape that I need for my seat. I cut a piece of fabric that matches the seat cushion here, and I'm taking off the protection for the adhesive on one side, and then I am roughly cutting the fabric into the shape I need for wrapping it around this piece of foam. This fabric has kind of a little what you call that, some hairs on it, so I'm making sure that they go the right way that I want them to before I continue. I am lifting up the adhesive protection here and then just flipping over the fabric and putting it into the adhesive, and then I'm just carefully cutting edges and stuff like that off so that the fabric will lie pretty flat here on the back side of the chair or the cushion. I am cutting a few what you call that, strips into the fabric here to make it easier to bend around the edges, and then I'm just gonna go around and bend up the fabric all the way around the seat here. Take your time with this. I have a few spaces where the fabric is kind of bulking out, and I'm just going to cut off that bulk so it is more flat in the bottom. Then I'm going to take my chair, and I'm using some tacky glue on the chair seat because the glue from this double-sided foam is not going to be strong enough to keep it in place. So I'm using my tacky glue on the seat, and I'm actually going to take a tiny bit of my super glue gel and pop it on the seat itself. And the connection between the tacky glue and the super glue is like an instant drying thing, so you want to place this right the first time, because when they just bond, they are bonded. And it actually glued to my finger, but I did manage to get it. And I'm squeezing the little cushion down into the glue so that I'm sure it keeps the shape of the seat, because I think that is actually one of the cool parts on this little one, that it has this rounded shape. Let that dry before you continue. On the template you find in the info box below, you find this shape that is the backrest. So I am cutting the shape out just to have kind of a template for that one, and then I am going to cut it out in this thicker paper cardstock thingy for making sure that it will look nice when it's all done. So you need something like this to keep the shape, but it needs to be soft enough that you can still easily bend it, even though that it's harder paper. I have one of these one times wash cloches. They have that is kind of a foam wash cloth, and it's perfect for making furnitures. So I cut one piece of that out just to have a little padding in there, not too much. And then I'm going to cut out a piece of fabric that matches the size of this one. So it's actually it's a little bit bigger, so I can glue the fabric around the foam and around the cardboard. So I'm just gonna cut it a little better now so that we don't have too much extra fabric around. And again, with this one I am going to cut these I don't really know what to call these, but I'm going to cut these indents in the fabric around the rounded shape because it makes it easier to fold up the fabric around the shape. Then I'm going to use my tacky glue to glue on the fabric, and this piece of cardstock has kind of a shine to this side, so I decided to turn it around because this is more a paper cardstock on the back side here, so that's easier to glue. And then I'm just gonna do exactly what I did with the seat, kind of gluing the fabric up step by step, and I'm cutting off excess again so that it is not bulky on the back side. And I'm taking my time with this, making sure everything is nice and neat, glued down. So just like before, taking one flap at the time, making sure everything is nice and pulled before I glue it. And I'm gonna glue a tiny bit more on these tabs that I am skipping right now so that I'm sure that they will glue down. And just like with the seat, I am cutting off any bulk here on that side because we are going to cut a piece of fabric that has the shape of this one and glue that on top to kind of hide all the ugliness here on the back side of the backrest. I did cut this piece of fabric a tiny bit shorter or smaller than the pattern itself off camera so that it fits nicely on top of this back of the back seat, and then I'm just going to glue that together, and I'm making sure that this is gonna get a lot of time to dry before I continue. Then I'm going to take my tacky glue again and glue on the bottom part of the chair where I want the back seat. And again, I used a tiny bit of my super glue gel that did not want to open on the seat itself. So I had to break it, and then I got it on my tool, and then I used it from my tool onto the back seat because I had a lot of glue there, right there on the tool. So I'm just gonna use that on the edge here on the back seat. And of course you do it on the straight side, and then I have to clean my tool from this glue because that I don't want to have on there. Anyway, I'm trying to find the middle point of the back seat and placing that on the back, and then I'm just placing it all the way around here on the sides, and my glue is dead. And then I'm just making sure that everything will glue and stay in place, and that is all there is for this little workspace table. I forgot the word of it, sorry about that. Anyway, that's all of that for today. I had a lot of fun making these chairs. I hope you will do as well.
Thank you for joining me in creating the chair. It has been a lot of fun to do that one, so I hope you will try it out. There is a lot of way to do it, so if you don't like my version, then you can always find someone else here on YouTube. There is a lot of version out here. Anyway, that's it for today. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next week. Bye. Subscribe.